You know, we have talked about super cycles here on the channel before, and it's been a little bit since we've discussed it. And one of the reasons why is we've lacked a big thing that we thought we'd have at this point, and that is further retail adoption entering mass adoption. But it seems like it's taken a little bit different of a form. In fact, it's coming up once again that a very prominent entity is now suggesting we are entering a super cycle. And I want to talk about that in terms of ADA. I want to talk about a few other things going on here as well. Could this all be the perfect setup for a big explosive moment in the crypto market? So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So this is all stemming from a comment by Tom Lee. And what he said is we are entering a super cycle. Now, I know some people don't like Tom Lee. Some people don't like his projections. But this cycle has taken a little bit different of a form. I think we've all come to that realization. We have really truly had a lack of new retail adoption, and it's been very much driven by enterprises and institutions and governments. And there's going to come a point where there will be a big transition where you will see adoption begin to pick up again. That's not an uncertainty, guys. That's a certainty. Retail will be coming back to the crypto market. They'll be trying to fit through a very small doorway, and there won't be a lot of supply to go around. We're already seeing that right now, just in the early times of these large new entities getting into the space. What happens as they're just buying through all these dips, right? The supply is lessening and lessening and lessening. We've obviously talked about this in terms of ADA. We've talked about this in terms of other assets in the space. Here's the thing. We just continue to see more and more and more money enter the market. $500 million minted by USDC over the last 24 hours. So we're continuing to watch this while retail's freaking out, while people are being distracted and looking at other things. And what I want to go back to first of all is this Wyckoff accumulation model. Because again, excuse me, this is playing out to perfection right now. We are down in the spring phase for at least this section of our market for this Wyckoff accumulation model. Doesn't mean price can't go lower. And it doesn't mean that we're going to instantly shoot out of here and run to $1, right? Could that happen? Sure. But obviously, I'm a little bit more tempered in my expectations right now. I know we have a lot of PTSD to kick in the crypto market, but eventually that will be kicked, and it seems like we can go on a run. And I want to actually go back to a bigger, broader model, because right now what we're looking at in terms of ADA is in fact an uptrend, and that might confuse a lot of people. But just take a look at this, right? So from the start of this market cycle, we have been moving slowly but surely in these waves up and to the right. So here's the question is, what happens on our next wave up when that begins? Excuse me. I have something in my throat, guys. I apologize. There is actually a model for this, and this is the Livermore speculation model. Guys, we might actually be playing into this perfectly right now. I'm not saying this is taking place for sure, but this is the type of thing that you see in a super cycle, this long extended period of rise. And this type of movement would not surprise me at all, right? Because we're dealing with obviously the ebbs and flows of retail. While right now we're seeing institutional enterprise and government accumulation do this. Well, when retail finally flips this line and new retail comes through the space, what happens? The market tends to expand very, very aggressively. Now, as far as time frames for this, again, I would expect and think that at some point in 2026, new retail adoption is going to pick back up. They're going to start, one, being marketed to by these large exchanges, by these banks, by all these different ETFs and ETPs and all these different products and services like we've talked about that are getting put into place now. But then at that same time, if that's taking place and the market is in fact rising, then you have organic retail adoption, just like we've dealt with for the first, 16 years of crypto, right? So then things start to accelerate very, very quickly. And that's as the, hopefully the economy by that point is starting to recover. I'm sure there'll be mass printing going on as well. So you could talk about even some of this rise just due to inflation and devaluation of the US dollar, right? That's completely a possibility as well. But then you also talk about, whoa, that was weird. Then you also talk about how ADA and Cardano are starting to gain a bit of a foothold in the crypto market. How there, again, is more discussions about it now. How the introduction of Midnight is leading towards potential new adoption of the Cardano ecosystem, not just from retail, but from some of those larger entities we mentioned as well. I know this is more of a complex discussion and more of a long-term discussion as well. But could this, in fact, be the thing that takes ADA to some of these insane peaks here of, you know, the top of our regression curve in 2027, $38, or even like this Livermore model shows $76, right? And again, I'm not saying that's going to happen for sure. I'm not even trying to pump hopium into people, but if we follow this model, it leads to some pretty interesting projections. But again, these are big, longer term things. This is why people have to think more long term. We've definitely been dealing with a lot of things fighting against retail in this market cycle. It hasn't been working against the large entities. I'll tell you that. They're loving what they're seeing right now, and they're taking advantage of every opportunity that they can. And that, I think, is a big reason why patience is very important. We've talked about patience since all the way back in 2023. And yes, this has been the cycle that has tested it time and time and time again. But if you haven't noticed, most of the negative things that have taken place in the market, they have been short-term things that are things that will not affect us as we get into 2026, 2027, all the way through 2030, right? Then we need to obviously start talking about, you know, does the market slow down significantly at that point? Is there, you know, such a large percentage of the people in the world that you're dealing with less growth and it becomes more of a tech-driven era, right? That's a transition we're going to have to deal with down the line as well. But I just wanted to share this with you guys. Yes, I do think we are entering a super cycle. I don't think it's quite the form that we expected, where we followed just, you know, your traditional mass adoption curve, right? Where it's basically like that, where we were down here. It's like we talked about. We kind of went flat for a little bit, but eventually things catch up and they start accelerating, right? So the thing I will say is that there's a lot of fun coming in crypto. And yes, it's going to take time. Yes, it sucks that we're kind of in this right now and we're kind of stuck, but we will eventually get past this. The market will come back stronger than ever. The embrace will be bigger than ever. There will be more clarity. There will be regulation in place to discourage a lot of the, we'll call it, manipulation that's been taking place. But I wanted to share that with you guys. I appreciate it as always. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.